Can we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're going to start tonight's meeting with public comment on the adoption of the comprehensive plan and the amendments to Chapter 315 zoning. You want to introduce Bonnie?
So this evening we have with us our
Um,
planner.
We should move to open the public hearing.
Okay, motion to open the public hearing.
Motion.
Second. All approved?
This public hearing is,
Excuse me. I had requested a copy of the public notice that is required to be published for this public hearing. I haven't received a copy of it. Could you advise us as to when the notice was published, where, and on what date?
it was published in the Times Herald Record. It
On
is
what
on our
date?
website.
We're working on that for you, Jim. Did you get the letter
Was it the
back
FOIL?
that we sent
I
you?
got a letter saying you'd let me know within 20 days.
Right.
Well, I need to know the date because there's a time frame that that public notice has to be in the newspaper prior to a valid public hearing. And I'm asking for the date it was published.
It went in May 5th.
I'm sorry.
It went in
published
May
on May
5th.
5th?
Not May 5th, I'm sorry.
No,
Yeah.
today's
No,
May
it was
5th.
April. I'd have to look it up. It was,
Today's May 5th.
yeah, no, it was, I'd have to look it up.
Well, was it published the required 10 days prior to the public hearing?
It was published, and then we put it in again because I think the first correction date said May 6th.
Correct.
So this is going to continue until May 19th and keep going?
I'm sorry, what do you mean May 19th? Today's the 5th. I'm
Right.
asking if the public notice was published
Perhaps
in
we
the
can,
newspaper.
perhaps we can get through this before we start with the public comment.
Correct.
You're asking public
Like, this
comments.
is-
No, this is not a public
We
comment,
have
it's a
a-
question
we-
of whether
we-
or not the public
Chris.
hearing is valid.
Right,
When
and
May
so
5th, Brian,
this is going to be
did-
continued
when did May
to
5th?
June
Shannon?
2nd, I believe.
Shannon
So-
had,
Hold on.
okay.
Yeah, I don't understand the issue. That's a post facto issue. You can deal with it later. We opened the public hearing. It's been published. You've requested a FOIL. That FOIL will be provided pursuant to
It
law.
wasn't a full.
Let's get the hearing going.
Okay. So, this public hearing will remain open for a minimum up until May 19th, or potentially to June 2nd at the May 19th meeting, after considering this evening's public comments. If we choose to make revisions to the proposed zoning and the comprehensive plan, that will be presented at the May 19th meeting. In the meantime, we're going to have Bonnie do a short presentation on what transpired over the last 2+ years with the comprehensive committee.
So good evening, everyone. My name is Bonnie Franson. I am a planning consultant to the Village of Washingtonville. For those of you who were not at the Comprehensive Plan Committee meeting, I'm just going to provide a quick overview of where we've been and where we're headed. So this is a public hearing on both the draft comprehensive plan and proposed zoning amendments. The participants in this process, there is a comprehensive plan committee that was established to prepare a comprehensive plan document. That plan document was recommended to the village board, and now the village board is holding this hearing on both the comprehensive plan and the zoning amendments. So the area that we're concerned about is the incorporated village of Washingtonville. I know there's some people who may have a Washingtonville address, but they may be located in the town of Blooming Grove. This only addresses the incorporated area of the village of Washingtonville. So this is the 10-step process that we've been through over the last couple of years. And it started with a comprehensive plan committee. We had a community survey that solicited public input on where the village wants to head. We created baseline conditions of what the existing situation is within the village. We've had public participation, including through a public workshop that was advertised. And we've identified goals, objectives, and recommendations, and a draft comprehensive plan has been prepared. The update was presented to the public by the comprehensive plan committee. It was recommended to the village board, and we are at step 9. So this is the time for public hearing. We also have to conduct an environmental review of the proposed adoption of those 2 documents, and then step 10 is to adopt a comprehensive plan and zoning, taking into consideration whatever comments the public may raise this evening or the village may receive as part of written comments. So in terms of the process, you will find the draft comprehensive plan online in the event that you have not read it or looked at it. Same thing with the zoning, public notice was posted. The full draft zoning local law document has been made available on the village's website. So in terms of what is a comprehensive plan, it is a document that is long range. It's a visioning document that indicates where the village wants to head. It looks at the issues and opportunities confronting the village and then sets goals and objectives with how to address those issues and achieve the opportunities for the village within the next 10 to 20 years. So when you adopt a comprehensive plan, the New York State village law regulations state that all land use regulations must be in accordance with the comprehensive plan. It's proactive, it's intended to give everyone a sense of where the village wants to go in the future instead of being reactive. And then importantly, especially in New York State, through a lot of its funding programs, a comprehensive plan can help you attract investment and support grant applications and future funding opportunities. Inputs into preparing the plan have been committee, village staff, village board, in-person workshops, public online survey, existing conditions, and public participation. And the basic questions that we've been trying to address are, where are we now, where are we going, where do we want to be, and how do we get there? So one of the inputs, just an example of something that was prepared for the baseline study is where are we now. We looked at all the various land uses that exist within the village of Washingtonville to conceptualize in part where the village wants to go with future land uses. Again, we mentioned public participation. There was a mini survey that was mini from the perspective it didn't have a lot of questions. It was open-ended to get input from village residences who all responded in terms of what their thoughts were in terms of these issues and opportunities and what should the village be protecting. We also had a public workshop which indicated where do we want to be, and there were various workstations that got input in terms of what the village wants in terms of various land uses, what it'd like to see in its parks, etc. So one of the aspects of that workshop, sometimes people don't understand when you say, you know, do you like this type of housing or do you like this type of non-residential development? So as part of the workshop, there was a visual preference survey that people could, they could grade in terms of whether they liked something or they didn't like something. And these are some of the images that were the top preferences for those who participated in the workshop. These are the top commercial preferences. So clearly, those who participated really like the concept of the village, the walkable neighborhood, the sidewalks, keeping its historic character.
Can you all see? Do you want me to cut the lights?
You want this light cut?
Yeah. Also, I'm sorry, I forgot. Anyone that thinks they may want to speak, public comment, if you could sign, you still have the opportunity if you're not sure, after we go through the list first, but this will be up on the table here.
So how do we get there? So the comprehensive plan document is the framework for how do we get to where we want to go? What's the vision for Washingtonville's future? And the various categories on the right-hand side, those are the chapters of the document, the Washingtonville Comprehensive Plan. So the comprehensive plan is organized in that it has this overarching vision statement, and there are various goals that are intended to achieve the vision statement, and under each of the goals are objectives, recommendations, concrete measures of how we can get to where we want to go. Related to all of this are the land patterns. How does the village envision its evolution with future land use patterns, acknowledging that most of the village is already developed. So there are limited opportunities, and if anything, we're going to see more reuse within the community. And these land patterns, preferred land patterns, play a role in then defining amendments to the zoning, chapter 315 of the village code. So this is the vision statement for Washingtonville. I'll read it really quickly. It's a quaint, picturesque, welcoming, and supportive community. Its unique character and history are evident throughout the village. Village of Washingtonville will continue to preserve its quality of life, protect its natural resources, and protect and support economic interests of the community by supporting local businesses and encouraging responsible development. In the next 10 years and beyond, the Village of Washingtonville will protect and enhance natural environments, including floodplains, wetlands, surface waters, native landscape, and scenic views, maintain its historic beauty and character through appropriate future reuse and compatible development, protect the aesthetic character and quality of life within the downtown and residential neighborhoods, encourage economic development which fits within the village's existing building pattern and scale of development, encourage collaboration between residents, business owners, and organizations within the community, and emphasize transparency and accountability for all. So these are the 7 goal categories that support that vision statement in the comprehensive plan. They cover land use and zoning, housing, environmental resources, transportation, community services and facilities, historic and scenic resources, and then they all come together and they all kind of affect the last goal, which is downtown Washingtonville. So I won't go through all these goals, but these are the goals that are related to each of those categories, such as promoting a diverse land use pattern, diversity of housing options, protect the rich system of interconnected natural resources, promote a multimodal transportation system, meaning you have more than just highways, you have a pedestrian network, you have brand new right-of-way for a trail system. So you want to provide for different opportunities, not just for traffic. Continue to ensure that the wealth of the services and facilities that serve the community are storm hardened. We all remember the flooding that occurred. We want to make sure that your most important community service assets, especially emergency protection, are storm hardened. Protect the historic and scenic resources, and preserve its historic and scenic character, including especially within the downtown. So this is the land patterns map. This shows generally the type of development that's intended for various locations throughout the village, and the pattern is described in more detail within the comprehensive plan. So the comprehensive plan, as I mentioned, was recommended by the Comprehensive Plan Committee to the Village Board on January 6th, 2025. And again, it informs changes to the zoning. So the Village Board has been the body that's responsible for reviewing changes to the zoning, and ultimately, along with the comprehensive plan, adopting them as the legislative body within the village. This is the proposed zoning map. Again, this flows from the concept plan, and I know it's difficult to see, obviously, and I didn't want to get into all the details of this, but it is available on the village's website. The process has been that the village board has held several meetings for the zoning draft. They've also met and discussed the zoning at the request of some stakeholders. Highlights include that the zoning districts are being aligned with the comprehensive plan recommendations. There are new purposes and objectives, new definitions, new, more contemporary land uses are proposed, and a greater diversity of them. There are special use permit standards in the document A special use permit is essentially, it's a permitted use, but it does have specific standards unique to that particular use. As an example, a gas station. So it wouldn't necessarily just be permitted, there may be specific standards which talk about the gas station, lighting, canopy, you know, how big it can be, et cetera. Ability to establish landmark and historic districts. So properties can be designated historic at a local law. That's the best way of protecting them, so that there's a process if someone wants to alter them or demolish them, that there's a review before that happens. And then ultimately, the procedures for various processes in the zoning, whether it's site plan review, special use permit review, those processes have been updated to make sure they're consistent with current New York State Village law. And so, I know that's a very quick, brief overview, but we want to especially hear from everyone here. And the purpose of this meeting this evening, this hearing, is to solicit public comment from you if you have questions. This isn't really a back and forth, this is a gather the comments, gather the information so that the village board can consider them when it convenes its next meeting. So I think with that, if we want to put the lights back on, next steps, we do have to complete an environmental review. We'll finalize the plan document and the zoning after we consider your public comments. And then ultimately, that document will be reviewed and the village board would adopt the plan and the zoning. So with that,
And we can start with the public comments. Anyone that did not sign that would like to sign, if you know that you want to speak.
I think so.
If you choose to speak and you didn't sign, that's fine too. We're just gonna go off the list first. Going once, twice.
Somebody's fine.
We have a list.
Just
Good,
for the
that's my-
record though, if you
That's my
could please just state
favorite
your
pen.
name.
Thank you, everyone. My name is John Capello. I'm an attorney with J&G Law. I've submitted some comments in writing. I'm not going to bore the board and go through them, but there are some general concerns I have with this. I have been working in the field of housing for 37 years now. I'm also a product of a neighborhood and housing and the son of an immigrant. So the issue of housing is very important to me. It's also very important to my clients, the Kazaza family, who have owned property in the heart of the village for decades, that have worked that property and are looking now to hopefully develop, which might be the last vacant property, and it's a very important property in the village. I understand, but it also provides you a very important opportunity to meet your legal requirement to provide an array of housing opportunities, not just for the village, but for the region as a whole. Now, I wish I could say I thought the code did, and maybe I misunderstood because I heard the objectives given by Ms. Franson on the screen, but that's not what the law that is on the web says. There's no objective in there that talks about the provision of housing in the area, and I think that is a weak point, and I think it really takes consideration of the board. Mr. Kazaza made a comment regarding the procedure, and I do think it is important. The notice that I saw on the website was dated May 1st, so it's impossible that that notice would have been posted 10 days before anything, since it's dated 4 days ago. And also, if you look at that notice, there's no way from that notice to get any kind of indication of what changes the board is proposing. Notices are supposed to provide a summary of what the changes are, so the public can look at it, can make a reasoned determination of whether they want to attend the meeting. If they think it's a great job, they don't attend. If they have issues, they can attend and make comments. So I think this procedure may need to be restarted so you can do it correctly, so there is transparency and the public can have the opportunity to speak educated on the issues they have. Also, Mr. Kazaza made a FOIA request for the environmental documents. An important part of your consideration of this law in the comprehensive plans are the environmental impacts that that plan will have on the community. If that information isn't available, that study that apparently has been going on for 2.5 years is not available to analyze. How can the public comment intelligently on it without having seen it and getting a letter that says it'll be ready in 20 days when, you know, when the public hearing is being held is, you know, is difficult. I mean, I would suggest, and the law at least recommends, that it be posted on the web so people could go right on the website and look at it without having to make a FOIA request for those documents. And then when you get to the impacts on housing, I don't think the board has really looked, because what your opportunities are don't really study the impact on the cost of housing. For instance, the state recently adopted new wetlands laws that will greatly increase the area of wetlands that are regulated. Now, that may well be a good thing because it is important to regulate and preserve wetlands. But your code currently and going forward will deduct those wetlands from density counts when you're looking at the few areas where you do have multifamily. Even if you avoid building in those areas, you have to deduct it. So how are you going to provide any kind of density that is going to allow you to provide housing at any cost that is suitable for a young family or a single parent trying to move in and live in your community? And those are the people, you know, I see you provided for seniors and veterans, and God bless them, they deserve the opportunities. But so does the nurse who's, you know, serving those seniors when they need care. So does the teacher who is teaching your children in your school district deserves to live, have the opportunity to live in your community. The people who plow your streets to get you through the snow. I could go on and on. The people who serve you in the restaurants, they deserve an opportunity to live in your community. And you should have a code that provides opportunities for them and some ability to provide a density of housing. And you can do that by incorporating green provisions that make sure those housings are built in a manner that will be sustainable. You can, you know, incorporate design features, architectural features that, as long as they don't make it terribly expensive, can incorporate it into a manner that is suitable for the village. But you have to provide it, and I think by taking the last vacant land in this village and saying, we're gonna zone it agricultural business, the majority of it, with an overlay that frankly only allows agricultural pursuits in a village when it is so difficult for agriculture to be sustained in this whole area as well, is really saying you're taking all the value out of this property, and it's, you know, it doesn't have to be that way. So I have the law and I provided it. As I said, the last times I've appeared, we'd be willing to sit, to work with the board, to come up with a solution, not looking to destroy the village. We're looking to come up with a development that provides you the opportunity to meet your duty under the law and provide a place where people can live and continue to grow in the village in a manner. You want people living where they can have, you talk about walkable communities, you want your housing in areas that can walk, not in the outlying town areas where people have to get in their cars and drive to go support village residents. So that's, you want people that can support and walk and support your businesses and your professionals in a manner that will help the village grow, like I said, in a sustainable manner. So having said that, I thank you for the opportunity, and I look forward to continuing to provide information to your board as you go through the process.
I appreciate your comment. Anyone else?
My name is James Casaza. I'm one of the owners of this property. My family and I have owned the property for over 4 decades. but my family and I have been members of this community for 70 or 75 years. I want to address a more specific item. Our 150-acre parcel is the only large undeveloped parcel in the community. The other large parcels are either owned by churches or schools. They're not going to be developed. The current zoning on the property is RA, residence, agriculture. The residence required a 40,000 square foot lot size, which we were completely happy with. Under your new proposed zoning, approximately 60% of the buildable area of the property has been designated an overlay scenic gateway. Not only that, the first 500 feet setback from Route 208 and the first 250 feet setback from Tut Hill Road are deemed not buildable at all, and the remaining parcel can have a structure taller than 10 feet, which in effect means that 60% or so of the buildable area of the property is totally unbuildable. You make the proposal in your zoning that you can make up the density on the remaining 40 approximately percent of the property. However, the permitted uses on the property are open space, golf course, passive recreation, public recreation, walking path, hotel, sewer pump station, sewer plant, village government building. Not a lot of market value in any of those lists. Under your current plan, you are in effect taking the property. If you do that, you're going to have to buy it. I don't think you can, by zoning, say, my family can't do anything with this property, but keep it as open space and not compensate us for that loss of value. I want that on the record, and that's why I said this. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Could you spell your last name, please, sir? Me, to the record. Could you spell your last name? I'm sorry.
Thank
Cassazza.
Thank you.
First name is James. The other owners of the property are Steves, Steeves.
Mr. Kazaza, are you okay with the current zoning?
No.
It's currently zoned RA.
Not a back and forth, but
Not a back and forth.
Okay.
as
Yep.
Mr. Pello said, we look forward to sitting down and talking to you about that.
I'm sorry, it was just my clarification.
No, that's correct. This is just for comment. It's not a question and answer session.
Yeah.
My name is Jim Steves, that's Steeves. I'm one of the owners of the property, the Kazaza property. I find it very interesting that years ago, when it was an operating farm, we were paying a water and sewer, village water and sewer tax on X number of units that it was zoned as for building lots. Now that farming is no longer a viable means of supporting that piece of property, it's going to be zoned agriculture. I just find that somewhat interesting that has transpired, and I do not agree with it.
Any other comments?
Good morning, Councilor Blackcourt. To change up, I noticed something different from the previous draft. I know we discussed it at previous meetings, short-term rentals. This plan outright prohibits short-term rentals. We currently have short-term rentals within this village, more than enough to generate revenue for this village. To outright prohibit them, I don't know how even, are they getting grandfathered? The ones that word grandfather is used a lot throughout this draft that you guys proposed. Are they being grandfathered in? Are they allowed to stay? Are we gonna charge them a business license within the village? Are we gonna generate some income in the village? What are we doing? That's my first question. I'll leave it to other people, but I got a few.
You can keep going.
No, it's all right.
This isn't a question and answer session. It's just for comments.
I'm just gonna let other people go.
Anyone else?
Sean Hagerty, Mr. Casaza said this farming is not viable in this area. It seems to me that 208, they're opening a large farm, vegetable farm of some sort. And there's quite a few of them around this area that have been opening up. More organic farming versus commercial, and people are into that. And the other end, affordable housing. Does any of that affordable housing in South Blooming Grove or Blooming Grove count towards Washingtonville? Because we do belong to Blooming Grove. So, I'm not sure what the percentages are, but farming seems like it could be good for me.
Thank you. Any other comments? Vinnie?
And speaking of the scenic overlay, which I read, it talks about, because of the views of Scummy Monk that are not within village limits. With the expansion going on in construction and land clearing within South Blooming Grove, there's not gonna be a scenic overview 10 years from now. So the purpose, I don't know what the purpose of the overview is, it's not gonna be there. We're sending water down there, we're aiding their expansion, they don't have the water for their expansion, but we're sending it there, and they keep clearing and they keep building, and it's been proven that they don't have the water. But we keep on sending it. So the overlay we're putting there is irrelevant, because there ain't gonna be nothing to look at over there.
Anyone else?
In line, 9 Plymouth Rock Court. Also, I saw that recreational vehicles, RVs, campers, are not to be stored in the front yards of the area, front yard areas. Is that consistent of driveways as well? Or are you just annotating yards as in like on the grass? Because the way I read it, it's basically telling me that I gotta store up to a 35-foot RV or boat behind my house.
Just so you know, we are documenting every question.
I know, I was just looking at their faces up there, just staring at us back.
I know it's not what you're used to, but
I
it's
feel
a
like I'm at
public
the school
hearing.
board
We're
meeting,
hearing,
where they don't answer
the purpose
questions.
is to hear the public. That's what we're doing, we're listening.
This is worse than a school board meeting.
Anyone else? Vinnie?
No, let's go, we should be
Pat?
done.
Pat Mitchell, San York Times. Well, it seems that we are ignoring the young. The young, as Sean Haggerty says, that love organic farming. If you go anywhere, they bring all of that to places. I'm not only talking here, I'm talking about the other parts of the country. The young, we have to have more input from the young, the 19-year-olds, up to the 26-year-olds, and see what they want. Because the organic farming and the climate change and everything else is very important more than anything else right now. And there's nothing ashamed about something being farming before, because that's one of the ways that we're all here because of the healthy farming that have given us a gift.
Vinnie, do you want us to come back to you? Any other comments?
Hi, Stephanie Olson, 25 Manor Drive. I was trying to read the planning committee's plans, whatever, online, and I just got a little confused when you're talking, I live in Washingtonville Manor, when you're talking about Washingtonville Manor and Brookside Acres. I do know that we were affected a great deal by the flood, and the confusing part was something about if the mobile homes were moved, that the land could be repurposed. And I guess that's what I'm really concerned about, because I've lived in that home 16 years. And I don't wanna be like surprised one day when somebody comes knocking on my door saying, you know, this land is gonna be sold and big buildings are gonna be built on it or something like that. So I know that it doesn't seem like they're replacing some of the homes that were lost. I guess this might not be a good idea to do, but I think part of that flood had to do with some other issues, because people have said it never happened before and things like that prior to me moving there. But I guess that was the confusion, like in that plan, like I wasn't sure what was actually being said about that community. There's also mention about speeding cars, and that does happen quite a lot. I walk around the park all the time, and I can't tell you how many times I've almost been hit because people think stop signs are, you know, just there for suggestion. They don't really listen to it. The speed bumps don't do much either because people fly down the road. The only thing that seems to deter them is if you have cops posted outside, you know, and you can see that. But I don't know what the plan is for trying to make neighborhoods safer, but there has to be more thought into that as well, because there's so many little kids in that neighborhood. And I just fear that one day they're gonna get hurt. That's my input.
Mike Graziano, 3 Lark Street. Then you just raised a question about trailers, things like that. I don't know if this falls under zoning laws or comprehensive plan, but I just wanted, a lot of homes are in close proximity, and people may not have a trailer that may be, say, newer or might be very dilapidated actually. And to have that in someone's driveway or in their front yard or in their backyard, I'd like to see either it's in the comprehensive plan or, and I haven't really had a chance to read through it. I only got to see it earlier this weekend, which wasn't a lot of time to review this, but I'm gonna spend more time looking at it. But I wouldn't mind seeing some zoning where people have to store it somewhere. I know it's a cost associated with that, but it depends the size. Maybe there's a size limit that they put into rules or guidance or whatever. So that's just a comment. I've just experienced that firsthand. That's one of the reasons why I feel this way.
Thank you. Any?
Anyone? The Historic Preservation Board. It's a 1552A, establishes the HPC and make recommendations to the village board for recommendation. But then it states, nothing here on shall limit the limit of village boards for conducting its own designations under its own initiative. So why have the board? If the village board could just do it, what's the purpose of the board? So why not just have the board, let them make the recommendations and be guided by that, and whether, let the owners, whether they want it or not, have that hearing with the historic board. The way I'm reading that, the village board would basically say, this property is historic. This is crazy. All right, I'm done. Blank pages.
Bill Draper, Washington Boulevard. This is really trivial, but I was just curious on the section on 315 that addresses adult businesses. Why are bookstores and cabarets not prohibited, but all the other 5 items are strictly prohibited? And I know you're not going to answer. And then also it does say, and again this is trivial, this is more just proofreading. It says motel/hotels are prohibited, but or identified as to their purpose. Then the prohibition just says motels, it doesn't say hotels are prohibited. So I mean that's kind of trivial proofreading, but
Paul Line, 10 Patriot Lane, Washingtonville. Yeah, the only comment I have is I noted, and I was trying to read it since Friday. It's, it's tough to get through the 200 pages. But you have a provision for, or a definition of auto junkyards, or whatever that was in the definitions, and they would be prohibited. But then buried down on page 37, it says any illegally established. We've been told that you have to conform to the code. When we do this comprehensive, an owner, a landowner, or whatever it is, are gonna have to conform to the new code. So now we say, no auto junkyards, but then we put in here, any legally established existing use of a building or structure, or land or part thereof, which is not consistent, conforming use under the provisions may be continued. So it kinda looks like you're picking and choosing, we're gonna call this historic, so you gotta change, you can't change that. But, just, the wording in a lot of it, and I didn't get through the whole thing either. I'm glad it's gonna be continued, because there's a lot of questions.
Any others? So like we said, this will be held open most likely until June 2nd. You can bring your comments, you can put them in writing, send them to us. You can also address further comments at the next village board meeting.
Just quickly, a lot of people here presented questions. Will the answers to those questions be read off at the beginning of the continuation of this meeting so that they have answers to their questions?
That's itself a question, and I would direct you.
Sorry?
We can discuss afterward.
Is the continuation May 19th or June?
So it's held open through,
Oh, through.
most likely after the May 19th meeting. Like I said, if we had decided to make any changes to what you just read online to the zoning or the comp plan, we will present that discussion or those changes at the May 19th meeting.
So are you continuing the public hearing? I thought it was to June.
It is most likely until June unless we are able.
You're holding it open. I would reopen it not reopen it, I would have another.
I thought we were going, so my recollection was this would be continued, and we should say that for the record, I guess this evening,
Correct.
till June,
Yeah.
till June 2nd. The May 19th meeting was to be used for the village board to go through any of the comments that were raised this evening and anything that comes.
As
in
more of a
after that.
workshop that wouldn't
Correct.
be involved with public questions.
Yeah, so I think the actual public hearing, I thought was gonna be continued to June,
That was my,
and that May 19th was gonna be a workshop.
That makes the most sense.
Yeah, or May, whatever that is, May
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 19th.
19th?
Mhm.
May 19th.
Yeah, May 19th.
All right.
And then June 2nd would be the continuation of the public hearing. That was my understanding. Yeah, I think you were gonna close it, I thought we talked about June.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, the meeting will be closed on June 2nd, barring any unforeseen issues.
Yeah.
Yeah. And did you have something you wanted to read?
Yes.
Bill River, Washington River. If we want to submit some written comments, who do we send this to?
Clerk? Any other public comments? Okay, so before we move on, I just wanted to share a letter that we received from the county, from the Orange County Department of Planning. The department has received the comprehensive plan mentioned above and has found no evidence that its approval would result in significant intermunicipal or countywide impacts. Overall, the proposed comprehensive plan is well-written and well-balanced. It strives to retain the village's unique character and heritage while providing opportunities for infill development and growth. We appreciate the village's efforts to protect environmental resources, preserve open space, support a diversity of housing options for all residents, revitalize downtown, and address many other issues. We also appreciate the village's stated support of the county's proposed Schoonamunk Rail Trail. Again, came from the Orange County Department of Planning.
Do they need to formally continue or?
No.
Okay.
We could just move on with our
So we're just
regular.
gonna move on.
Only if we were closing it.
Hmm?
No, we're not
Only,
closing it.
we're not closing
Not
it.
closing it.
It's held open to June 2nd.
Okay, so we're gonna move on. We'll start off, first of all, I just want to say that the mayor is sick, very sick, and he was not able to make it tonight, although he really wanted to. So we are gonna continue on with his appointments for this current year. For Village Board Reorganizational Meeting. This is the appointments of liaisons by Mayor DeVinco. Deputy Mayor will be Deputy Mayor Presser. The Police Department will be Deputy Mayor Presser. Fire Department Committee will be Mayor DeVinco. Event Committee, Deputy Mayor Presser. Moffett Library, Trustee Coleman. Washingtonville School Board, Trustee Coleman. Bloom Grove Volunteer Ambulance, Trustee Walsky. Historical Society, Trustee Giacaruso. Senior Citizens, Mayor DeVinco. Emergency Management, Mayor DeVinco. Information Tech, Trustee Coleman. Policy and Procedures Employee Handbook Updates, Trustee Coleman. Department of Public Works, Trustee Walsky. Blooming Grove Town Board, Trustee Giacaruso. Planning Board, Zoning Board of Appeals, Architectural Review Board, and Code of Ethics, Trustee Giacaruso. Building Department, Trustee Giacaruso. Water and Sewer, Trustee Walsky. Recreation and Parks, Deputy Mayor Presser. Blooming Grove Chamber of Commerce and Not-for-Profit, Trustee Walsky. Beautification and Downtown Revitalization, Trustee Walsky. Social Media, Technology and Website, Trustee Giacaruso and Trustee Coleman. Grants, Trustee Coleman. Comprehensive Plan Committee, Trustee Giacaruso. Personnel, Trustee Giacaruso. Finance, Deputy Mayor Presser. Next section is the appointments by Mayor DeVinco and approval by Village Board. First up is Village Clerk, Registrar of Vital Statistics, Christine Schenkman. Deputy Registrar, Patricia Nunes. Treasurer, Leslie Tillotson. Elected Judges, Stephen Smith, Joseph McKay. Freedom of Information Officer, Christine Schenkman. Tax Collector, Christine Schenkman. Records Manager Officer, Christine Schenkman. Village Historian, Jean Versuevel. Superintendent of Department of Public Works, Christopher Martino. Police Chief, Brian Zaccaro. Water Sewer Contractor is HTO, which is Christopher Finnegan and Justin Fairbrother. Building Inspector and Code Enforcement Officer is Town of Blooming Grove, and Court Clerk, Patricia Nunes. Auditors for 1 year is going to be PKF O'Connor Davies LLP. BST auditors, Attorney Fierick, Nugent, and McCartney. Attorney Bleakley, Flack, and Schmidt. Official newspaper, Times Herald Record. Official depositories, TD Bank, NY Class, and Green County Bank. Individuals authorized to sign drafts on village funds be Mayor DeVinco, in his absence, Deputy Mayor Presser, with Treasurer Leslie Tillotson. Establishment of regular meeting nights. The regular scheduled meeting night shall be the first and third Monday each month at 7 p.m. When a national and/or religious holiday falls on a regularly scheduled meeting night, the meeting will be held on the following day if necessary. I'm not gonna read every one, I'm just gonna say that they're always on Monday with the exception, Labor Day weekend, that one will be on Tuesday, September 2nd. And also the last one will be March 18th, a Wednesday, because Tuesday will be election day. Mayor Devanko appoints the Board of Trustees as Budget Committee. Okay, resolution 25-0038, I'm sorry?
I have a question on it. On the building inspector and code enforcement officer, it says Town of Blooming Grove. Right now, we only have an IMA with them for a maximum of $40,000, 25 hours. This is not saying that. I think that should say open.
Well, we have, the contract is a set amount. They actually given us more hours with this.
I understand,
It's the
but
same.
it's only an IMA. They are not, only through the IMA are they are building and code enforcement. We don't have one. We don't have a building inspector. That's what I'm saying. It should say open. Unless you do a resolution to whatever.
Chris?
I have no issue with it as it is right now.
Reorganizational resolutions, 25-0038, village board meeting dates. To be adopted to set the meeting schedule for village board meetings for 2025 through 26 at 7 p.m. as listed above. Regular meeting will be the first Monday of the month with public comment. In the event of a holiday, the meeting will be rescheduled. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you. Next one. 25-0039, village board work sessions. To adopt a set meeting schedule for village board work sessions for 25 through 26 at 7 p.m. as listed above. Work sessions will be the third Monday of the month with public comment. In the event of a holiday, the meeting will be rescheduled. Can I have a motion?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
No.
0. Okay. 25-0040. To adopt at the end of the year meeting for the village board is March 19th. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
26, I said. 2026. Motion Susan, and Vern second. All those in favor? Motion passes 4-0-1. 25-0041, Planning Board, Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. To set the meeting schedule for Village Planning and Zoning Board of Appeals Board 25 through 26 at Village Hall, 7 p.m. The Planning Board will meet the second Tuesday and Zoning Board will meet the first Thursday of the month. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Just for the record, that's one board, two different dates, but the same board.
Next one is 25-0042, Code of Ethics Review Board meeting. To adopt, set the meeting schedule for Code of Ethics Review Board for 25 through 26 to be held at Village Hall at 7 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month. Questionnaire will be completed by all employees, filed in a sealed envelope on an annual basis, and return to the village clerk by May 31st calendar year. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0-1. 25-0043, Events Committee, to adopt a set a meeting schedule for the Events Committee for 25 through 26, to be held at Village Hall at 7 PM on the first Wednesday of the month. Can I have a motion? Motion. And a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0-1. Thank you. Next one, 25-0044, policies. To adopt a policy that the village department heads are expected to attend village board meetings if needed and as requested by the village mayor. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, motion passes 4-0-1. Audited bills, 25-0045. To adopt a policy that beginning the week of the first meeting in April of the village board, the treasurer will be implementing the procedure that invoices will be paid the Tuesday or Wednesday after the board meeting. The treasurer will create a report for the board that will list all the approved invoices for payment from Edmunds. The Friday morning before the set board meeting will be the cutoff to include bills on the abstract for approval payment, for example, March 29th. The cutoff is the cutoff for the April 1st, 25 meeting. Can I have a motion? Motion. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0-1. 25-0046, attorneys. To adopt, approve a policy that attorneys are available to village elected officials, a chair and co-chair persons of the planning board, zoning board of appeals, and code of ethics board in the village, and to department heads only. All other employees or board members must receive prior approval from the village mayor prior to contacting an attorney for the village. I have a motion.
Motion.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
25-0047, volunteer boards. To adopt and approve a policy that all members of the volunteer boards must be ready, willing, and able to attend all scheduled meetings of said board. In the event a member is unable to attend a meeting, prior notification must be made to the volunteer board's chairperson, secretary, and/or village clerk. Yearly attendance of all board members shall be submitted by the chairman of said board to the village clerk no later than February 15th of each year. The chairperson or volunteer boards will be part of the interview process for all new appointments. All appointees must complete 4 hours of mandatory training on an annual basis. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0-1. Use or rental of village facilities is 25-0048, to adopt and approve a policy that all applications for use and/or rental of village-owned facilities will be made to the village clerk's office at least 30 days prior to the event. May I have a motion? Motion. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0-1. Next one, 25-0049, master calendar. To to adopt and approve a policy that the village clerk's office will keep a master calendar for all uses and rentals of village-owned facilities. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 401. Twenty-five 0050 facility requests to adopt and approve a policy that the village clerk will submit any and all requests to the village board for authorization and approval along with proper insurance rider for use and rentals of all village-owned facilities. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 401. 25 0051 mileage reimbursement. To adopt and approve a policy designating mileage allowance a federal IRS rate per mile for official business, and any request for mileage reimbursement will be submitted on the travel expense form, which shall include the following information: odometer reading, destination, and purpose of trip, provided that the reimbursement rate shall automatically adjust with the IRS rate. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Motion passes 401. 25 0052 use of village vehicles. To adopt and approve a policy regarding village vehicles that shall be used for official village business only. Personal use of any vehicle is strictly prohibited. No person other than officers or employees authorized by this resolution shall be an operator or a passenger in the village vehicle. The chief of police, detective, highway superintendent, village mayor, and building inspector are the only officers or employees authorized to use a village vehicle outside the normal work schedule. A village employee only when serving as an acting chief of police or acting highway superintendent or acting building inspector is authorized to use a village vehicle outside the normal work schedule. If it is expected that such employee will be serving as the acting chief of police or highway superintendent or building inspector for more than 48 consecutive hours, no employee shall utilize village vehicles, shall permit their family members or non-employees to travel in village-owned vehicles. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Point of order? Point of order? This would take the vehicle away from Chris Martino, because we don't have a highway superintendent. Two different things. We have a DPW, that's a highway superintendent. Highway superintendent's elected, DPW is not, so you need to change the wording from.
I'll mention it to the mayor.
That's a fair point.
Yep. If we have to change, we'll change it. Second on it?
Is there a motion?
I did. Susan. Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 401. Petty cash accounts. To adopt and approve the policy for petty cash accounts as follows. Village clerk's office, $500. Police department, $500. Department of Public Works, DPW,
That's what we
$500. Motion,
Motion.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 401. Village holidays. To adopt and approve the village, state, and federal holidays as follows. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, President's Day, Memorial Day, Juneteenth Day, Independence Day, Labor Day, Columbus Day, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving Day, day after Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, half a day, Christmas Day, day after Christmas, New Year's Eve, half day, and New Year's Day. Have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0-1. 25-0055, village office hours, to adopt improved regular hours for Village Hall as follows. Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Department of Public Works, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. We have a motion.
Motion.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0-1. Appointment of Board of Ethics, Jamie White, and we're changing it to
Wait, 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 Christine,
That should have been out on that.
it says 5 years.
That's wrong, that should have come out.
Right.
It's 2 years and the resolution is at the end, so just skip over that. That's
So
what we were
that's
first
2
told,
years.
but the 5
Right,
years
right.
was incorrect. It's a 2-year term.
2 years. Okay, so to adopt and reappoint Jamie White to the Village Board of Ethics for a term of 2 years.
Motion.
Motion. Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0-1. Okay, public comment, agenda items only.
Paul? I mean, Vinnie, sorry.
Lang, I'm Plymouth Rock Court, resolution 5960, roughly $100,000 difference made in department. What was the change from one to the other? Because you're rescinding it on 5.9, and you're increasing almost 90,000 on.
One was a quote that we got last year. We added some to it, I guess according to the village engineer, it wasn't enough, so they recalculated. That's why we had to rescind the one we did for the 300 and change, and, or, I'm sorry, the 700 and change, and it's gonna be now roughly 820.
Was this money budgeted in the past budget, in the previous budget?
Yeah, we over budgeted for it.
Okay. That was the chips, did we get this part of my chips?
Whatever we can get, yeah, we're trying. We try.
And the, sorry, did we go out to bid on the resolution 61? And is that something like DPW could do, to save us money?
61?
Yes, we actually.
No, that's not the gates.
61. Deckscapes.
Gates.
No, Deckscapes. We actually negotiated with them and we got them to
Did we go out to
lower.
bid, was the question?
Sorry?
Did we go out to bid?
It's a used piece of equipment. The St. Mary's was getting rid of it, and they were trying to sell it. This is the guy that actually built it for them, so he's taking it all apart, transporting it all.
Yeah, you already took it apart.
Yeah, well, yes, not at this point, yeah.
The original was 12, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The original
12.
was 12,000,
It was
so
over, a
we.
little over 12.
I don't know,
Oh,
I'm looking at the resolution.
no, I know.
I'm just saying, all right. I
It was tabled from the last meeting.
Right,
We
we
tabled it
tabled it
last
last meeting.
Right, but you're rescinding the resolution, it says rescinded. Was it tabled or was it, you're rescinding?
It was tabled
You
from the
didn't vote
last,
on it.
Which one?
last meeting. We revisited it because we
Are you
didn't.
talking about the deck?
The Deckscapes.
Yeah.
61, right?
Pergola?
59
One
is
doesn't
to
say
rescind resolution 32, that was adopted on April 21st.
No, which,
No, you know
I'm
what
sorry.
happens?
That's
when-
different.
What happens
the road.
is,
Yeah, I'm
when
sorry,
you
my
change
bad.
it from the original agenda on the website and you add things, numbers change.
Yeah, you-
Or you
So
take
you're-
things
I'm
out.
sorry,
it's okay.
That's all right.
What number are you
All
on,
right.
Vinnie?
I don't know.
So,
No,
Deckscapes, right?
technically you're correct, but
Are you good, or do you need more clarification?
you're talking about the
Yeah, I'm
deckscapes,
sorry,
right?
Deckscape.
Yeah.
Did we go out to bid for that? You said no, right?
Well, it wasn't out to bid, but we had, last time we tabled it because we weren't happy with the fee. We negotiated with them and they dropped it significantly.
Okay, so we're buying used wood that's been there for over a year.
We're
Excuse me,
not bonded,
that's-
this is for the transfer station area.
Clarification. That's the structure that's at St. Mary's parking
Correct,
lot.
that was the structure.
That's gonna be
Yes.
removed,
Correct.
disassembled,
Yep.
taken down and
All
reassembled.
restained, all
It
removed.
doesn't say, it doesn't
Preserved.
indicate that it's not clear that we're thinking it's the platform that's already at Burn Allen.
Oh,
No,
no,
it's the
no,
one
no.
at St. Mary's, gonna be,
So one that was in the St. Mary's Park.
yeah.
Yeah, he took it down already, I saw him take it down.
Yes.
He's taking it down, and once we do this, he's gonna transport it over and rebuild it over at Burn Allen. Any other?
Sean?
Yeah, Sean Hagley, my question is back on the bonding for the road at 820,000. Here it says it's bonded, and I think Steve stated, or somebody stated it was in the budget. So if it's in the budget, we have the money. If we're taking a bond, we're taking a bond. Which one is it? What are we doing?
We're taking a bond.
We're taking a bond.
So it was not in the budget, the money.
No, not actually in the budget.
Okay,
Any other questions?
not on that.
Okay, so we'll start with these. All right, so next one is announcements, discussions. First one is the Green County Bank grant we applied for $1,000 we have received. Update on the Spindler Wells. I know we're working on that. We've already talked to Knights of Columbus and the perfume factory, and we're trying to work things out to be able to reopen those wells on a permanent basis when needed. The green areas, is now a law, no dumping any kind of garbage in there. We've already caught 2 people and ticketed both of them who decide to mow lawns and have those big trailers behind their lawnmower and take it down and dump it in the green areas. That can't happen anymore.
We have cameras up now, so
Good.
being watched everywhere.
The installation of the new telephone system in Village Hall has been completed. Website maintenance, we added a link to pay court fees online now. Memorial Day Parade is May 26th, it begins at 10 a.m. Electronic Recycling Day is Saturday, May 10th at the Blooming Grove Town Highway. So we got electronics, bring them down here and get rid of them. Resolutions. Resolution 25-0057 to authorize and approve P&D Engineering firm to complete a hydro water test at a cost not to exceed $21,400. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Motion passes 4-0-1. Resolution 25-0058 to approve village board members to attend the New York State Conference of Mayors, also known as NICOM, conference at the Sagamore Hotel in Bolton Landing, New York, from May 28th to May 30th, 2025. Fee is not to exceed $325 per registrant for meeting registration. Can I have a motion? Second.
Second.
All those in
We have a
favor?
discussion, just real quick. Did you get a bill yet?
No,
Where did the $325 come from?
the mayor, that's for the registration fee, he said.
Just to register?
Just to
Not
register.
for the actual?
Nope.
Okay.
Just to register.
No, it's more.
I brought that up.
All right, so we, that, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0-1. Resolution 25-0059 to rescind resolution number 25-0032 adopted at the April 21st, 2025 Village Board work session meeting regarding adoption of the bond resolution authorization issuance of bond in principal amount not to exceed $730,000 to finance the construction of road improvements, drainage, paving project from Route 94 up North Street to Tolman Road, and the first driveway located at Taft Elementary School, stating the estimated maximum cost thereof of $730,000 and appropriating said amount for such purposes. Motion? Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Motion passes 401. To authorize, resolution 25-0060, to authorize the issuance of bonds in a principal amount not to exceed $820,000 to finance the construction of road improvements, stating the estimated maximum cost thereof is $820,000 and appropriating said amount for such purpose for the North Street Road improvements. Have a motion?
Motion.
Second? All those in favor? Motion passes 401. Resolution 25-0060, to approve Deckscapes proposal in the amount not to exceed $7,850 to disassemble.
61.
Oh, no.
Just for the record.
Yeah?
It's resolution
60,
twenty-five
yes, 60.
61.
All right. Resolution 25-0061, I thought that's what I said. To approve Deckscapes Incorporated proposal in the amount not to exceed $7,850 to disassemble and reassemble the 12x16 platform with roof to be located at Vern Allen Park on Ahern Boulevard. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second? All those in favor? Motion passes 401, thank you. Resolution 25-0062, to schedule the public hearing regarding a local law amending chapter 260 of the Village Code, Streets and Sidewalks, sidewalk cafes, to be held on May 19th at 7 p.m. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
All those in favor?
Will that law be posted online?
Well, what?
Will that law be posted online, so we can read it before the public hearing?
We'll post it, right?
Yeah.
The public hearing.
Yeah.
Motion passes 401. Resolution 25-0063, to approve a solicitor permit for Francis Ellis, AKA Mr. Dingling. No, we laugh. Mobile ice cream. And an application fee of $100 based upon receipt of a certificate of insurance. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The next one you did already, for Jamie, the next resolution.
We made, it was a resolution?
Yeah, you just did it before.
Okay.
It was the last reorg resolution.
I don't have to read that one.
You put it up there.
Okay, resolution 25-0065, to authorize budget transfers and amendments as necessary to effect necessary transfer funds to pay village warrants, and they are the village is $127,640.68. That includes $102,549.50 of May premium for health insurance. That's the general fund. The water fund is $22,345.79. And the sewer fund is $28,248.73. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second? I don't know
Who
who
made
did
the
who.
motion?
You both said same time, so.
All right, Susan
A
motion,
do-over.
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 4-0-1. Any public comment? Wow. Anybody not have a comment? I don't know who was up first, I wasn't looking. Ready?
Nancy?
Nancy Donaldson, 4 Emerson Drive. I was just wondering why you're stopping the construction of the Coleman Road at the first half driveway and not going to the end of the village?
I can answer that, Steve, if you'd like. What we have to bond, the reason we're stopping there is it includes also sidewalks and curbs. And the work that's beyond that, a lot of our own DPW can do, which would be significantly less than what we have to put out.
Okay,
So it's a numbers thing, really, it's more money than anything, to be quite honest.
Okay, are you planning sidewalks to go all the way to the school now?
Pardon?
Are you planning sidewalks
No,
to go
to
to
redo,
school?
but they have to redo all the drainage down on the, eastern part of North Street, you know, between 94 up to the winery. And they're anticipating during that process that a lot of some of the drains may collapse, which is gonna pull down sidewalks, and to be quite honest, some of those sidewalks are just in such lousy condition that they need to be replaced, so that's the reason the budget went up for it. And again, we're just trying to be mindful of the dollars.
So you're not considering continuing the sidewalk to the school?
Pardon?
I said, there's no continuation of the sidewalk to the school.
I would love to if we had the money. It's, you know, it's a finance thing at that point, plus the property. The one side that the cemetery is on, that's very steep, so to put sidewalks in there would be a lot of work and a lot of engineering. And also, whose property is it? I don't know how far down to the road the cemetery goes, to be quite honest. The other side of the street, we do have them. And again, if we were to go past Bull Road, again, now that's a drainage area, so how do we put sidewalks there without losing that drainage?
Any?
I'd like to go back to zoning if I could. The reuse overlay that you have on the maps basically states the R zone is overlay zone that encompasses property.
Vinny, I'm gonna stop you there.
Why? It's open, so.
It is, but the public hearing is.
All right, I'm gonna make a comment.
Okay.
So the reuse overlay, the RO zone is overlay zone which encompasses properties include historic buildings and our older single-family residence. It intends to preserve the historic architectural community character of buildings located in said zone, which will incentivize property owners to reuse the property and preserve and protect the existing character of the older. How are we incentivizing, number one? And who's dictating that those houses within said overlay zone are historic? Do those houses, do those residents, can they contest to the, I guess, the HDD board first, before that overlay is put in place? Maybe they don't want it. I don't know. Lots of questions there. That was just, I know nobody's gonna answer that question.
It's a statement.
And the stenographer would have recorded what you just said.
We got it
While
though,
we're here.
we have it.
210
We documented
pages, so I
every
got a
public
lot of
comment
time to read.
regarding the
It's on
planning
record.
and zoning.
I'm gonna go back to my statement originally. This is going down to making money for the village. We're gonna prohibit short-term rentals, whether we don't charge them occupancy tax, they're already here. Increase the licensing fee, whatever it is, charge them money, they're already within the village. The village needs to start generating revenue outside of taxes. And we have ample opportunities to do it, and we're not doing it. We're just taking tax money and spending it. No other income is coming in. We need to generate more money instead of just taxes. Find other avenues to generate money. You know, to prohibit, outright prohibit short-term rentals. If they're already here, you can generate the money somehow, whether it's $1,000 licensing fee. Listen, it adds up. You know, we can pay the $7,000 for a used deck without going into our own pocket. Go on, I'll think of something else.
Sean?
Sean Haggerty, I have 6 questions. One is, I sent a message about sidewalks by the hydrants being replaced, and Tom sent an answer back, they're gonna be done to village code. By law, they need to be done to ADA code, not village. If the village code is as strong as ADA, that's fine. If it's not, then they need to upgrade the code. The other one is the outflows. I asked him about outflows being cleaned out, and he said they did by the arch and the cowway, call it.
The cow tunnel.
I believe both of them are on town property, not village property. They should have been called in to do their cleaning. We need to clean the rest of the way out, and all through the woods, where all these tree branches are now blocking the outflows and the streams. If they're not walking through the woods, I have. There's stuff being blocked. There's 2. 3, what was the cost of hiring H2O to flush our hydrants?
I believe that's part of our contract with them.
Well, why is it they're allowed to do that, but it's too expensive for them to read our meters? Okay?
Because we have to pay prevailing wage for them to do meters, it's not part of our contract.
And you probably pay prevailing wage for them to flush the hydrants also,
We have
Correct.
contracted services with them,
right?
and the hydrant and mainline flushings is a part of that service. Meter reading was not part of that contract.
The new contract, it was at one
We
time
don't
though.
have a new contract. The contract has been in place, I think we're on the 4th year of it. It was a 5-year contract.
Okay. How many new vehicles have been purchased by the DPW or leased since this administration took over? And I would like a list. You have one because you need to submit it to the insurance company. So if I come in and get that without bothering with a FOIL, I'd appreciate it. And speaking of insurance, why are they removing roll bars from the zero-turn mowers?
I can't answer your last question. I can tell you there is one dump on order. Other than that, they have purchased no new pickup trucks or anything like that.
Sent you guys, how about leasing?
No.
Now what about the big bucket loader, the brand new one? Maybe they borrowed it, maybe they rented it, I
Yeah,
don't
we
know.
don't have a bucket loader that we bought a new one of. The only purchase I'm aware of is we do have a mason dump on order. We're waiting for the body to come, the dump part of it to come in.
Okay. And the last question is, did anybody see the Mid-Hudson News report on our finances? We're gonna have a cash shortfall,
That's all, that's the comptroller's office.
April 20th, 2025.
We received that notification a while back.
Okay, so what are we doing about it? Are we still spending money like,
No,
Excuse me? I spoke with Tom at length about that. We were gonna try and get a story out that, you know, that was old news, and we were gonna try and correct the record that how much better the finances are doing now.
they're talking about the 25-26 budget that was just put in. So that's not old news, that's present day. Correct? It's not past,
Yeah,
It's
but
present.
the issues that story talks about, like that there were missing records and stuff, that's going back to the last administration.
the significant limited by the lack of complete, accurate, and current accounting records maintained by the village for the 25-26 budget. Current. They're not talking about past, which they have talked about past before. This is not stating past.
Okay.
So that's, where did that all come from? What's going on?
It was a general report. and
We're really not even supposed to be talking.
the
I'm talking to the board.
Washingtonville was added to a list of others that this.
But we're not supposed to be talking. The board is supposed to answer my questions, ma'am. Thank you.
We will get back to you on.
Thank you.
Just to follow up again, bringing revenue into the village itself, back to the sidewalk law. I hope within this law, there's applicable fees charged with said sidewalk cafes. These businesses who are gonna apply for this sidewalk cafe are gonna be generating lots of money by turning more tables and allowing more people into their establishments. We can't be charging $100, $200, $250 for a fee for a license, cafe license. That's big money. You go down in the municipality, south of here, they're charging a lot of money for sidewalk cafes, and I hope you charge accordingly and not just give it away.
Paul?
Paul Lane, Patriot Lane, I have 4. Number one, I'm gonna keep on going with the hydrant flushing. I called the village hall twice. I spoke to Colin both times, last Thursday I called. I was asking them, did they change the schedule, because they didn't come, they had me listed, Patriot Lane, they never came down to flush the hydrant. I didn't see anybody flushing hydrants in the village, for that matter, riding around. I was waiting, because I was waiting to do wash or laundry, with the brown water, are they gonna come, are they not gonna come? So I was just, they didn't flush that hydrant. So I don't know if they have a list of hydrants that they flush, but if they put down Patriot Lane,
They're supposed to do every hydrant.
yes, I know.
And they had a
And
schedule.
my block is-
Yeah, I don't think they
4
did, Mike.
days and then-
I didn't see him come down. I was home almost all day. I went out for about an hour.
Where's the
I
hydrant?
checked the ring, doorbell, nobody was out there. Patriot,
Patriot.
there's a whole bunch of them.
Plymouth Rock,
There's only one.
Plymouth Rock, they didn't come in.
There's only one. The second thing, real quick, and this is a liability type of thing. Speaking of North Street, I know you're paving and doing that. That guardrail's been damaged for a long time. That's a liability. God rest his soul. When Jose got killed on Route 17, that van came through a broken guardrail on Route 17. I'm getting chills as I'm thinking about it, because I know what happened. That van went through a broken guardrail. So if somebody's walking down that sidewalk and a car goes out and causes injury or death, and they say, well, that guardrail's been broken for how long? It's ours, the
I
village.
will tell you on the list, it was a guardrail that we just ordered. I don't know if it's for that.
Steve,
or if it- yeah.
I can answer it. I actually just got the call today that guardrail finally came in.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
I saw them, the street was closed, one side was closed and they were working on it today.
So I just know I got a call this morning asking where do they drop off the pieces. They went to the address for the DPW, so I know the parts just came in. That was this morning.
Okay, we're up to number 3. Last 2 meetings ago, we had an update on the cameras. My question is, the price on the cameras, does that include the poles and the installation of the poles? And I'm gonna go through the whole thing and let you guys come back with it. Does that include the poles and the installation of the poles? Does it include the lights that was strung from pole to pole? And does it include the electric that runs those lights down in McLaughlin Square? Just curious. Two big black poles down there, right? Cameras on them.
I think there's 2 separate companies doing, one's doing all.
But does that price cover all of this?
Well, whatever we have as a total price does, yes.
Okay, so it's the
We don't know what
poles,
the split is.
it's the poles, the cameras, and the lights that was
And the
strung,
electronics to it.
the lights that was strung, the decorative lights.
Covered by.
I call them Goshen lights.
From the police department.
Some of it, yeah, some of it was covered in a grant by the police department.
The cameras.
The cameras and the poles are covered in the server.
Okay, and what about those lights that was
The
strung?
lights we would have to get back to you.
The string lights.
The string lights. Now, because at that location, it seems we're gonna have, I don't know what it's called, Saturdays in the Square. I don't ever remember, do we have an assembly permit for that? And insurance? Because that's our parking lot. Did we ever, I look back, I don't ever remember an assembly. I remember one meeting where it was removed from the agenda, charging people $200. A gentleman that sat in the back said that's not enough, we should charge more, but that was removed from the agenda. So now that they're having Saturdays at the Square, do we have an assembly permit for that?
It's done through the events committee,
Okay.
okay, and all the
They
businesses
got,
in
they
that
got an
area.
assembly permit for the egg hunt, the events committee.
I'm sure the events committee has They did for everything at the beginning.
It would have had to be approved right here. I never heard it. It would have had to be approved at this board.
I'll check on it and,
And if it was, how much are they being charged to use our parking lot down there? It's the only parking we have in the heart of the village. So I want a pizza on a Saturday night, I gotta go park, I don't know where, you know.
What do we want us?
I like F and J.
So do
All right, hold on, I'm not done. I think this is number 4 anyhow. And the electric on those lights, if you could look into that, Steve, who's paying for the electric on those string lights? I mean, it's, you know, it's probably, they look beautiful, but I don't ever remember you guys approving any kind of, you know, lighting and or anything else, and I'm just curious how those lights might affect those cameras that are sitting right there. You know, when the camera's on, the light bulb is right in front of it, I don't know, something to look at. All right, the last thing I'll give you is on March 17th, I submitted a FOIL. Again, for continuity, going back to shipping water, right? And I asked a number of questions in my FOIL, and I got a reply back on April 18th. I submitted the FOIL for that day because I saw the Blooming Grove truck there moving water. I have photos of the Blooming Grove truck there. They were taking it down to Barnes Road. In the book, the copy of the book that I had listed, the only one in the book was Spindler. Blooming Grove didn't write in the book. No one notified anybody from the water department or the village that they were there taking water that day, neither Spindler nor Blooming Grove, according to my answer on the thing. I had asked for invoices. Now, this is a month ago that I put the FOIL in March 17th. I had asked for invoices. I says, copies of any invoices for water sales or removal on March 13th. As of April 18th, there are apparently no invoices. Now, we were told we've got $159,000 last year in water sales. How do we know? Does this guy just cut a check like an allowance? There's got to be, if we're doing water, and I plan to submit a FOIL for every invoice from Spindler since day one and cancel checks, because I want to see how this guy pays. We had $159,000, but we don't know how much water we're selling because there's no invoices. How could it be no invoices? It's got to be something within a month. I mean, it came up, I know the treasurer came up, we have a new way of invoicing, and it's going to be efficient and blah, blah. This doesn't seem to be efficient to me. Again, how do we know how much water we lost? And in addition, we don't know how much water Blooming Grove took. They took a lot of water, but we don't know how many thousands of gallons of water they took. And we have to account for every gallon of water that comes out of that well. If we pump 1 million gallons of water out of that well and we bill for 800,000, DEC wants to know, where's the other 200,000? Is it leakage? Are you going to attribute it to leakage? It's not leakage. You know part of it's going in the truck. I got the book from that day, and I saw the Blooming Grove truck there, yet there's no entries in the book. And I know Tom said that they're going somewhere else now for water. But up until now, we have issues. We have issues, and we have a lot of numbers in water that came out of the well that's unaccounted for.
I will talk to Tom about that, but I'll tell you the reason why they went somewhere else is because you guys were taking pictures of them and they felt uncomfortable.
And they were taking it for free.
You should feel uncomfortable.
Because they thought, and Tom said, they thought that they should get it for free. Tom said that.
Some of it, yes.
Yes.
That's what we're arguing with.
And I don't, if they, listen, they're in a
But
public.
here's what will happen now. Now that they went somewhere else, okay, it's costing them more in mileage, and they pay more for the water than we were
Steve, you're
charging.
missing my point to this whole
Well,
thing.
you're missing my
I'm
point.
looking at Washingtonville.
Yeah.
How much money we made last year. We don't know how much money we should have made or could have made with Spindler and Blooming Grove and whoever else we takes water out of there. Because there's no accounting. And to go back to the DEC, accountability for the water that's pumped out of the well and how much is billed. There's a big difference here, and believe me, the DEC looks at that. We used to have the INI, all the leakage, way back when Tom was mayor last time, we had the INI all over the place. Leakage in the lines. And that's what they used, you know, as an excuse. Oh, we got leakage. So, or the meters are bad, so we started changing meters. But that's that's my point. I don't care where they're going for water.
And when you were deputy mayor, did they get water from us?
Who?
Blooming Grove?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I don't know. I don't know. I know Spindler, and I told you once, I told you twice. I'll tell you again. I was against it then, I was against it now.
I'm not
It's a
talking
precious
Spindler,
commodity.
Blooming Grove. This was an issue, and we're having an issue with them
All
over
right.
that. So now what they've done is they went somewhere else, gonna pay more for mileage, more for gas, and more for the water. Okay, and guess what? We also pay Blooming Grove taxes also.
I know.
So that's gonna raise our taxes. with Blooming
When we bring our vehicles to the town garage, they send us a bill. So why would they think that they're gonna get free water?
What do they bring, the tap and hill?
Yeah, I mean,
They're paying, they should be paying it, not us, because that's, excuse me. If they're bringing that water down to Tappan Hill, they have their own water district. That district should be paying for the water, not our taxes. Nobody pays for our water except for us.
Our
So
water.
if Tappan Hill is drinking that water, or flushing that water, or whatever they wanna do with it, that's on them. Not on Blooming Grove
I
taxes.
don't want to
And if it
give
is,
information,
it
but I
needs to
know
be
they
looked
pay
into
for
it.
some, they don't pay for some.
They have their own wells, they have their own sewer district. down
Right,
there.
if it was used for, like, they were reselling it, to their residents, then yes, we would charge.
They're pumping into the lines, and obviously it's going to the residents' meter, they're paying for it. Hello?
That's not on the Blooming Grove taxes.
I'm done.
Any other questions?
Continuity, where we at with the police contract?
Between the lines. Okay, I think we're finalized now. We had a meeting last Tuesday. We came to an agreement, and right now we're waiting for their attorney to draw up the MOA. So hopefully within the next week or so, and I think we're scheduled to be able to sign it by June 2nd meeting.
Okay, Susan? We're in May, summer's around the corner. We're gonna have a public hearing on the irrigation meter law.
Can't tell you, Vinnie, right now.
It's been going on over a year and a half now.
I do understand that.
Okay, it's one law that would actually save residents money, putting in irrigation meter. Let's do a little something, we raised the rates, taxes went up, and we do a little something and expedite the law to save the residents some money.
Anyone have any positive comments?
We're all positive.
I think they're positive.
Anybody else?
Any more negative comments? Any other comments?
Bill, you sleeping? Anybody else?
Thank you for coming out on Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah, right.
Does anybody have margaritas for us?
Can we close the meeting?
How about a motion to
Motion to
adjourn?
close the meeting?
Motion to adjourn, yeah.
We need an executive.
We do need an executive session.
Yes.
Motion to
Thank
go
you
to
very much.
executive
Have a
session.
good night.
Personnel matters.
Okay, I guess we're gonna have an executive session, so.
Are you coming back?
I mean, we will, but
Just
we're
to
not gonna
close the
do
meeting,
anything
no
afterwards.
decisions will be made.
Be careful down there.
Wait, did we vote on the executive session yet?
No.
We need to do that.
Motion to go into executive
Motion to
session.
go into an executive.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
Be careful down there, Mount Haven now. I don't wanna